name is Win, and as you'll be able to tell from the thumbnail, today I'm going to be discussing, I believe I have 8 unknown Cushing classics. By that I mean 8 films starring the wonderful Peter Cushing that are, I suppose, a more appropriate term would be lesser known, that sounds less catchy title-wise. So unknown was the word that I chose to go for when designing the thumbnail. There are a number of films that he is more well known for, and these are for the most part Hammer films. I'm an old soul. I was born in the early 2000s, but my favourite genre of film is what I like to call classic horror. I know that you can see one of my DVD racks here. This one is modern films, but it stops about here. Starts up there, stops here, and then my other DVD rack stops here. Like at the very, very bottom, like several, maybe about 8, 10 DVDs more. And once I've worked out how to kind of configure this slightly better, I hopefully can show you a better view of my favourite DVD rack, which is the older one. When I say classic horror, I am referring to what, in my view, is the kind of golden era of these British films. Of course, a lot of people think of The Shining and The Exorcist, Nightmare on Elm Street. I am happy to talk about those films. But when I say classic horror, I'm really thinking about anywhere between like the 1920s silent era through to Universal's classic monster movies, and then the colour films of Hammer and Amicus. I would say kind of reaching their sort of the end to a glorious showcase in the sort of late 70s. I have 3 honourable mentions. I am not going to give you spoiler reviews because I know that there will probably be some people watching this that haven't seen any of these films before, and some people do get really annoyed with spoiler reviews, but I'm very happy to do far more extended videos on any of these films and many more. In no particular order, I'm going to start with Island of Terror from 1965. Because I'm using my phone, I'm aware that I don't know, I get confused, the lettering might be inverted, apologies if it is. I'm not really high-tech enough to have a proper film camera. Late 1965, sometimes labelled as 1966. It is a classic kind of kitsch British sci-fi. The well-known formula that sees a collection of characters stuck on an isolated island somewhere with a view to stop these strange creatures from taking over the world. In this case, the strange monsters look interesting, I'll say that. But, you know, it doesn't take away from the tone of the film. It's ridiculous at times, but they just don't make sci-fi like that anymore. It's the cast that does it. It's Peter Cushing, obviously, so that's what this video is about. It's I think his name is Eddie Byrne. If I get it wrong, I'll try and work out how to correct it on the screen. You know, I'm not scripting this because it would be an awful lot more stunted if I did. Carol Gray, Edward Judd, Niall McGuinness, and it's of course directed by, even though it's not a Hammer film, it's by this company called Planet Film Productions. Also produced Night of the Big Heat or Island of the Burning Damned in the US. Not as good. If you're going to watch one of them, watch The Island of Terror. Practically anything directed by Terence Fisher is going to be a good film, even if the script is rubbish. But in this case, it really isn't. And I don't think Peter Cushing has ever given a bad performance. Acted in some questionable films, yes, and I am happy to donate. I'm happy to produce a video going through some of his more humorous films, but you know, he's always entirely believable, even if the rest of the cast is a bit wooden. But in this case, well worth a watch. And I would love to have seen like an entire series of film dedicated to this little team, headed by the wonderfully named Brian Stanley. Cushing, of course. I also, this DVD is region free, and it comes with this little booklet, very in-depth about the kind of the making of the film. It's got a poster on the inside. It also includes the full cut in America. Some of the gorier bits were cut. This is uncut. And I would always say, if you can get your hands on it, get the original cut. Okay, right, moving on. Again, no particular order, this is just the order that I've placed them on my coffee table, because yeah, I have a coffee table in my room, not a desk, like a normal person. The skull. If I remember rightly, this came out the year after, or at least the Christmas after I had got into these horror films. That is, came out on DVD in the UK. It was also released in 1965, I believe. Again, excellent cast. This is definitely much more of a horror. This one's a sci-fi. And it's an Amicus. It's directed by Freddie Francis, who is another Hammer mainstay, but also did a lot for Amicus. It's one thing I don't believe that Terence Fisher did much for Amicus, if anything. It's based on a short story by Robert Bloch, who of course wrote Psycho. A short story by the name of The Skull of the Marquis de Sade. It was changed to The Skull because of the backlash from the de Sade's family. So, yeah, it's just called The Skull. This is a DVD Blu-ray set released by Eureka. It's got another booklet. It's DVD and Blu-ray, I think I said, and it's got a reversible cover as well, but I prefer this one because it's the poster. Again, excellent cast. This is a Cushley film, which is what my dad and I like to call those films that star both Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. So yeah, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Patrick Wymark, Michael Gough, Niall McGuinness again, and also Nigel Green. And he has one of the best lines that I have ever heard anybody say. I mean, there are many great quips in these films, but I will try and get it into effectively every essay that I write. I'm a uni student, and I'm constantly trying to get in the line, "Not in this day and age." It's a bit of an in-joke between my dad and I. This film, on the special features, there's a little piece delivered by the film historian, Jonathan Rigby, who admits that in truth not an awful lot happens in this film, but Freddie Francis just does something absolutely amazing with the camera work and excuse me, not COVID, I promise, I'm just frogging my throat. He does something amazing with the camera work and just, it is a joy to watch, you know, atmospherically, stylistically. I'll never cease to be absolutely delighted to hear of the making of the film. Back in those days, I hate using that phrase, but I'm aware that film has changed an awful lot since this time. And like, directors had to be so much more inventive with their practical effects and the way that they filmed things. I think in those days, film was much more of an art. I do think, capitalism is always been a very divisive force, but especially now in this day and age. And now, for the most part, it's just about making money and churning out family fun formulas that are going to do well in cinemas. Now you wouldn't put a cameraman in roller skates and then rig up a massive, like, plastic skull head to plonk on the front of the camera so that one is able to film through the skull's eye sockets. It's ingenious. I love it. But yeah, the skull, brilliant. The atmosphere, Cushing is particularly good. It honestly, this was made for him, this role. It's funny at times because, you know, there is definitely more of a campness to it than some of these other films. But it's, my mum can't watch it without cackling madly, but it's brilliant. And whilst, as I said, Cushing has never given a bad performance, I say has never, I find it really hard to talk about him in the past tense. Even though he died before I was born, it feels wrong to me. Like, it feels like his legacy is very much alive through these films. This would be my favourite of all his films, and that's not an easy decision for me to make. His best performance, I would say, is probably to be found in Hammer Dracula from 1958, but The Skull is my favourite of his films. Also, female composer, Elizabeth Lutens, I believe. I don't have a bad thing to say about this film. I'm constantly discussing it with my dad. Like, he's the one that introduced me to these films. There's a dream sequence that was changed for the film because, changed from the original source material because of the strict censorship at the time. And it is not entirely clear-cut what it means, and exactly what's happening in that dream. My dad and I are always trying to discuss that and work out what the symbolism might be there. Okay, next, Horror Express. Interesting cover. This of, I think, to be perfectly honest, these three that I've done so far are probably the most well-known of this bunch. This is from a Spanish company. It's another Cushly. It's got Telly Savalas in it as well, and a beautiful red-headed actress, who obviously I support because we need more redheads in film. Like, what's her name? Sylvia Tortosa, is it? I possibly absolutely butchered pronunciation there. But yeah, she's really good. They're all really good. Sat on a Train, evil monster movie. Again, it's just brilliant, and it contains another brilliant line. Of Peter Cushing saying monster. We're British, you know. And that's another line that my dad and I are constantly saying to each other. I mean, my mum, my brother know about it. It's just one of those things that I think of when I think about this film. This one is a lot more gory. It's also, and you know, the first time I saw it, couldn't go upstairs on my own. Music by John Cavacas, brilliant. He also wrote the score for the Satanic Rites of Dracula from 1974 or 73, 74 I think. Yeah, it has its silly moments, but it is genuinely freakish at times, and yeah, it's one of those films that just feels very sort of journey-esque. You feel like you're going on a journey with the characters, and it feels like it's so much longer than a lot of other films. Like, it has such an immersive quality to it, but it doesn't like drag on. But yeah, I feel like I've used brilliant and excellent and fantastic an awful lot in this video, but this is a rarer one to purchase. I mean, they released a Blu-ray a while ago, but well, recently, but I don't think this was randomly released by the BBC. Not quite sure why. And they do have a Blu-ray out, but I have no issue with most of these films you will find have been remastered anyway. It was dubbed, but you can't really. I only found that out recently, and I didn't quite believe it. And I don't mind though. It's well done. Yeah, very happy with everything about this. I mean, all of these films, they are my children. Okay, right. I'm aware that we're getting to 20 minutes, so I'm going to try and speed up somewhat. This is an Italian import because this film has yet to be released on DVD in this country. If you're a fan, you will know why so many of these films have not been released in this country, even though they were British made, British produced, manufactured by British companies. I'm happy to, if you don't know why that is, because you're not a fan of these films, or you just came to learn something new, I'm happy to explain in the comments why. But yeah, basically you have two options. You either purchase a region 3 DVD player or a region 1 DVD player, you move to America, I don't know, or you buy a transfer copy, or you get an import that somehow also plays on region 2. This is an Italian import. I don't speak Italian, and I'm not going to try and pronounce that, but putting it into Google Translate, it translates to the hyenas of Edinburgh. The English title is The Flesh and the Fiends, and it's about Burke and Hare with Cushing as Dr. Knox. It's also got Donald Pleasance in it, who, I don't know if you can see that, is always good value. Again, this is another very very immersive one. You feel like you get a lot out of this film. Like, it's not over really quickly. I don't feel like it drags. My dad watched this with me recently, and I think he felt like he didn't like it as much as I did, but I watched the first half an hour, and I then didn't watch the rest of it for ages because I didn't want it to end. Yeah, very good, like this one. Also, I really don't, I will link a clip below in the description if I can from this film, one of the sort of little monologues that Cushing delivers. I don't know how you can watch this film and tell me that he isn't an absolutely amazing actor. I think I will always maintain, until the day that I die, there are so many wonderful actors and actresses on this earth and who have unfortunately since left this earth, but I do feel that Cushing is the best of all of them. Flesh and the Fiends, 1960, I believe. Not Hammer, not Amicus. I don't know the name of the company. I think it might have been an American company. But yes, very happy with this All of them. I need to stop saying that. Nothing But the Night. This is the last of my main, that'll be 5 films, and then I have a couple of honourable mentions that I'm not really going to go in as much detail for because you've been sitting here quite a while listening to me, as have I, and my knees are starting to go funny. I have joint issues linked to my dyspraxia, and it hurts. It's in my interest to not let this drag on for too much longer. Nothing But the Night. I think 1970. I think it's 1974. If I'm wrong, I will try and put things up on the screen. I've got a pretty swanky looking editing thing that I found, so give that a go. Interesting cover. This, I suppose, is like The Island of Terror in that it has more sci-fi and more thriller kind of elements, but it's disturbing. It's a disturbing child film. Like, you know, think, oh, what's it called? What's that film? I'm sorry, it's late. I'm waiting for my parents to order a takeaway because there's no food in the house. My brain's gone a bit. I'll put it up on the screen. The film about those evil blonde children. Kind of think that. It's, if you like disturbing child films, this one is good. It's strange. It is really strange. It's got, what's her name? Again, I'm sorry. It's a Cushing. It also has an actress called Gwyneth Strong in it, who has gone on to become a fully fledged adult actress, who is very good. Oh, that's it. Diana Dawes is also in it. It is one of those films that is not, it is at times ridiculous, but this works in its favour in this case because I didn't know what's going to happen. It's not predictable, and I love that. I love that there are so many more films out there that I've not seen, and I don't know what's going to happen. This one, I was going to say I had to order this one online, but I don't think this one's especially difficult to get hold of. I would definitely say The Flesh and the Fiends and Horror Express if you're going DVD, and certainly in the case of The Flesh and the Fiends, I've not seen that on Blu-ray, certainly in this country. But yeah, this one I think is the most unique of the bunch because it's not entirely a horror, and it's not, the plot is very twisty. Also something that's quite exciting, these children live at an orphanage and they have a uniform and they wear tartan skirts as part of their uniform. My surname, Lindsay, we have, I don't have much Scottish family, but that is where the name comes from. And the tartan that they wear looks eerily similar to the Lindsay one, so I do actually need to give that a Google and see if my suspicions are correct. But yes, Nothing But the Night. Also very interesting score, we like. I will say of all of these, my brother really likes The Island of Terror. Like it seems one of the more, I mean, I was going to say modern. Of course, it's set at the time that it was made. But yeah, he really loves that. I've shown it to a couple of friends that aren't really into this sort of thing, and they like it too. So I'd say, as ridiculous as it is at times, Nothing But the Night and The Island of Terror are both good ones to have a look at if you've not really gothic horror, and I'm aware that I haven't got any gothic horror really here, and that's only because those are the films that Cushing is known for. But I will definitely be doing a video about some Hammer classics and the Amicus portmanteaus. I mean, how could I not? They are staples. But you know, like, I think gothic horror can often feel like a little bit of a theatrical leap by today's standards, but these ones they're all, I'm repeating myself, I know, but I do not have a bad thing to say about these films. Honourable mentions, also worth a watch, but not going to go into them too much. Captain Clegg, or Night Creatures in the US, is the only Hammer film that I have here. It is based on I think he's called Dr. Syn. Was it Syn? Syn, I believe. It's a character from a story, a series of books that Cushing had really wanted to play, and I think he wrote, if not helped to draft a script for a sequel, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. If ever you look at, we have existing scripts, when I say we, existing scripts still exist, are mostly in the property of the Peter Cushing Appreciation Society, which I will definitely be linking below, that Cushing annotated with costume suggestions, additions to, or alterations to the dialogue. And yeah, he was, if you haven't read his autobiographies, you need to. He was actually a really good writer, you know. He arguably, if he hadn't been an actor, he definitely could have been an author. Apologies, by the way, I don't know if it'll pick up. My parents are singing Teze downstairs, so that's what that noise is. We're nearly at half an hour. I'm so sorry, but thank you for staying. If you have, it means the world. Even if you stayed for like 3 minutes, it means so much to me to be able to talk about this. Madhouse, 1974, again, I believe. Vincent Price and Cushing. I don't think they were in many films together. But yeah, another one you should see. Would I rate it an 18? Maybe not. I feel like this one's kind of a special one for me. It was the first 18 DVD that I ever owned. So yeah, this one also very good. And then finally, this one is probably one of the most ridiculous. I showed a friend of mine who's absolutely, or at the time, quite obsessed with cats, and this is The Uncanny, which is a portmanteau film, not an Amicus, but involved Milton Subotsky, who was one of the brains behind Amicus. Yeah, it's Peter Cushing, Ray Milland, who was in Dilemma for Murder, Susan Penhaligon, I believe her name is. Yeah, it's 3 pretty hilarious stories about cats trying to take over the world, and Cushing appears in the overarching framing story. This one should be a classic. Also, this particular edition has one of the only remaining interviews with Cushing, as well as a clip from his 80th birthday, I believe. Apologies if there are various, I said if I've got anything wrong, I will correct myself and put some things up on the screen, so apologies if there are lots of those, but a lot of information for me to remember in this video. But, and yeah, not doing it without a script, so please bear that in mind. I want to say thank you so much for getting this far if you have. These films are my passion. I love them. I can't remember really what it was like in the years when I didn't have these films. But yeah, thank you. Hope to do more videos like this. If you have any suggestions, please put some things down in the comments, and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. And the final thing I'd like to say is, which of these films is your favourite, and is there anything you think I missed that you would either like to see a video on, or that you think should have been on this list? Yeah, let me know. I love talking to fellow fans, and I don't get to do that very often, especially not with people my own age. But you know, we're inclusive here. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter your background, whatever. Let's have a little discussion in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again very soon. Bye.